When I say the words asynchronous and remote first, what comes to mind for you?
My job.
I'm Campbell Baron, and I'm a creator and interviewer producing content about startups. And naturally, being interested in startups and technology, Levels Health piqued my interest. Not only because of the mission and the large problem they're solving, but how they're solving it, and how the company is run. This is why, when I was presented with the opportunity to interview every full-time Levels team member, create a video series to document the Levels culture, it was an easy yes. Over the following 5 videos, I'll be sharing sound bites from my conversations with select Levels team members, each video focusing on a specific value of the Levels culture. First up, a value you simply can't ignore when talking about Levels: asynchronous and remote first. Let's get into it. So why does culture matter?
If you had asked me 5 years ago what I think about the importance of culture, I would have said it's a complete waste of time. But the deeper I get into it, the more I realize how it's actually the only thing that matters. And that I was completely wrong.
Why do you think remote first works so well at Levels?
I'm kind of biased. I think remote...
Well, everyone's biased on this team.
True. I've worked remotely before, but remote work was sort of an afterthought.
When we started Levels, I was coming from a non-async, non-remote background, and I was skeptical that fully remote would work.
To what extent are remote first and asynchronous intertwined?
I believe that remote first has to be also asynchronous in order to work effectively.
I feel like I've been looking for a company like this for so long, and Levels is the first time where I feel like I found my people, I've found the process, I've found the structure that lets that happen.
We really believe in hiring the best people possible, and that means that they may be living all over the world. We have John in Colombia, we have Justin and Ben and Hao in Canada.
There's still a lot to figure out. I think the lack of social exposure between people it is intrinsically hard.
Asynchronous can be challenging, or it could actually be more challenging if you're coming from a synchronous company to an asynchronous company, because you have to get out of that mindset of always being in Slack, ready for problems.
Totally.
I think there's a deep respect for each other's time. And in many ways, I think the async culture is in service of that.
So, Ms., you came from Uber, and I'm wondering if you could touch on how Uber differed from Levels, just in the context of work style.
Ooh, totally different planets. I think the way that synchronous companies work, and different companies work in different ways, but very much focused around a meeting culture.
So there's a rumor going around that Levels does not do meetings. What can you say about that, Tom?
The rumor is true. We do shy away from meetings.
In a given week, I might only have an hour and a half of scheduled meetings.
Meetings are incredibly disruptive. If you schedule a meeting for me at 11 a.m. and a meeting at 3 p.m., I will get no work done the whole day. You might think it's only 2 30-minute meetings, but it's actually a 90% decrease in my daily productivity.
As far as I can tell, I really don't know anyone who enjoys being stuck on a Zoom call all day long.
I'll go to my previous experiences. There was a meeting before the meeting, and then there was a debrief.
Right.
And here we are with all this wasted chunk of time.
On a daily basis, when it's not just we don't have meetings on Mondays or no meeting Fridays like some companies have experimented with, that's our everyday.
We actually have a document that says, you probably have seen this, I imagine, but how Levels does meetings.
The infamous document. How does the no meeting culture at Levels differ from your previous work experience?
I would say instead of no meetings, it's default against meetings. We definitely still do them. I just had a half-hour chat with Ben today because there was a topic we were going back and forth over email on. We just said, hey, let's jump on a call for half hour, sort it out. We did that. Then we sent the email saying, here's the output of that conversation.
It's really about information scalability. So when you do take a meeting, try, if possible, to record it so that other people on the team can benefit from what was said and what was learned from that discussion.
I can tell you the feeling that you have, or I have had at previous jobs, but that this could have been an email feeling, right? Anytime you're in a meeting that's useless, that's where our memos come in. We don't use memos to supplement meeting culture. They are our meeting culture.
What can you tell me about memos over meetings?
So memos over meetings is it's a highly contentious conversation.
I think Sam is currently working on a memo about how to write good memos. And I might write a memo about how to write a memo about how to write good memos. Just to out meta Sam.
You should do it.
The beauty of memos is that it really does allow diversity in thought and opinion. And it allows people to take the time necessary to digest the information and respond accordingly.
There's something really powerful about writing your thoughts down that helps you figure out actually what you're trying to accomplish and what you're thinking about any given subject matter.
Just helps new employees get up to speed extremely quickly.
There's almost too much available to me. I actually had to sort of ask around to get out like, hey, what's absolutely important right now? And part of my onboarding was going back to sort of clarify what was important and maybe what was medium priority.
That kind of practice, that notion of like, hey, it's written down somewhere, go look at it, is just not present in normal companies. They just don't do that. If anything's written down, it's in some guide nobody's looked at and it's hidden away in a server.
This is the experience of many people in engineering where you're in an office trying to get work done, people come over and tap you on the shoulder all the time.
I think compared to my last role, I'm having to really get used to almost like there's almost like a low level anxiety of having these deep work periods.
When I was a manager at Uber, at my peak there, I had I had about 70 people reporting into me, and that made my typical schedule a back-to-back. The actual work, like creating value, getting a project to move forward, really doing things with my own hands, that didn't tend to happen at the office or during business hours.
I am putting in an order of magnitude more hours of deep focused work than I ever have at any other job.
It's a lot easier to establish things from the get-go and say, we're remote, we're asynchronous, and this is how we work. Bottom line. Intro every video with some random bite or outro it, and like this being the conversation right now about one of the end outros should actually be one of the bites.
All right, I'll do it.
Like this should be one of the bites, because this is what's so funny is like this is the most meta outro you could have.
So this video is now over.
Apparently. Video out.